Okay, welcome to Jesulin's, well, technically 6th challenger, but really 5th challenger, I believe.
We have more conscripts at our disposal.
Jesulin has, of course, defeated me. I got nominated. I stood no chance. My rear echelon spam just could not stack up. Let's see if Paul can avenge the fallen. He is playing as Soviets against Jesulin's Ostherre. The map is Eindhoven country. And the series begins now. We're going to see Paul playing with Tank Hunter, Armored Assault, and Shock Rifle. Paul did not field Guard Motor. Everybody always accuses Paul of only going full meta all the time while never changes his strats. Which, in auto match, may be true. But in Star-Crossed Kings, he definitely makes a concerted effort to bring at least a little bit of variety of strategy. And the fact that he has not fielded Guard Motor this game highly intrigues me. And we have also pretty much always seen Paul experiment a little bit more in Game 1 of a series. Try and get a feel for his opponent. And then, should he need to go with a much more effective strategy in Game 3, then that's when he really brings out the big guns. And we saw that in Paul vs. Jap. Especially, I'm quite curious to see what's going to happen here. Jesulin, as Ostherre, has fielded his same loadout as usual. Mechanized Assault, Close Air Support, and Jaeger Armor. And he'll be able to utilize whatever of those features he needs. Against Soviets, I'm more expecting Mechanized Assault. But, against Shock Rifle, okay. So not that experimental for Paul. Although he did go 2 cons, 2 Combat Engineers into Tier 2. So, maybe a little experimental. Not sure what he's going to get out of there. Maybe a quick Maxim or something. Conscripts leave the building here. They're hovering by the door. Trying to make sure Jesulin doesn't secure this structure. He's not staying inside for any longer than he needs to, just to maintain vision, because of course there's no northwest facing windows.
Our opponents are seizing the sector. The new Grenadier squad is ready.
Conscripts jump into short range against the Grenadiers right here. Combat Engineering Squad has already been forced to retreat since the second squad of Grenadiers arrives too early for Paul to force this retreat. It looks like he will lose this engagement. He does manage to convince Jesulin to retreat with that squad of Grenadiers, however. Combat Engineers making their way left, take control of the fuel point. And a Maxim is on the field for Paul. He's gone 2 Combat Engineers, 2 cons, and into a Maxim. I'm pretty surprised by that. Jesulin is also going to go 4 Grand's MG42, so that's going to be a pretty hard Tier 1 for Jesulin. And then soft Tier 2 for Paul. Pretty soft everything. He's going to, I think, especially the second Combat Engineer in particular. Gonna leave him a little weak until he can get the 60 munitions together for both flamethrowers. I assume he's gonna go double flamethrowers. Now that he has one, he has a tool with which to force his opponent from this house. There's the merge into the flamethrower. Try and keep them on the field for as long as possible and force Jesulin from this building. Second merge. Continues to get focus fire down, but with more conscripts moving up to fill the ranks. Third merge. That flamethrower is not going anywhere, and Jesulin has been forced out of the structure. Here's the MG42, however, to potentially force Paul away. If he can make it up to this green cover, he might be able to avoid getting suppressed. Did not make it with the flamethrower. This engagement looks like it's probably lost, even with him in green cover. Although the Maxim is firing from a distance, those Grenadiers did not get suppressed. So it looks like the engagement will go to Jesulin, and this squad of conscripts will be forced to retreat soon here as well. Paul's going to get himself a third squad of conscripts, making its way out of the base now. Original squad of combat engineers continues just backcapping in the north. Currently uncontested while Jesulin tries to set up a very aggressive front line here and tries to hold it. He's actually doing this pretty similar capping pattern with his opening squad of pios and has made it up to this house and thrown a minesweeper on them quite early, trying to scout for any of Paul's mines or demo charges. He does have 2 squads of combat engineers, so keeping an eye out for mines and so on makes sense, but since Paul looks like he's going double flamethrower, has quite a bit of munitions floating, I don't think there's any mines or anything on the north of the map.
Shock troops have arrived.
MG42 working on a flamethrower inside the building.
Awaiting command.
Maxim is just going to try and prevent Jesulin from advancing any further. Fuel control looks like it's going to go into Paul's hands as he sends his third squad of conscripts right, starting to get that under his control. Jesulin also being forced to spread out a little bit with his grenadiers, sending them left towards the fuel and VP. And shock troops are about to hit the field, or have hit the field for Paul, making their way up the right road. And Jesulin still has not picked a commander. So this initial squad of shock troops may
Shock troops awaiting deployment.
may be pretty difficult actually for Jesulin to deal with. He's getting slightly late battle phase 1 because of not only this pretty large force, but also manpower bleed and the purchase of a bunker. So a little late on the battle phase 1. His pios are retreating now to protect to tier 2, but the shock troops are going to be here well before the scout car or half track or anything that might help hold the line against this squad. The MG42 is turning to try to do something about this, and it will get a burst off. Apparently it has a line. Shock troops will get suppressed. Maybe. Rifle grenade. Smoke grenade. Ooh, that rifle grenade was nicely placed. Paul tried to dodge, and he will actually merge. He's intentionally weakening this squad just to keep them on the field during this critical window of opportunity where Jesulin has not really got a counter to this. Other than that rifle grenade, of course. And it looks like that was probably the right call because Jesulin will be forced to make a full retreat with those shock troops moving up the right side and 2 flamethrowers present for the engagement, and Paul looks like he will take full control of the battlefield. Rifle grenade over the little off target. Didn't have vision. I think he just fired it blind and hoped for the best. It only inflicts 1 loss and a little bit of damage. So no big deal for Paul right there. Demo charge goes down on the building, but Jesulin has a minesweeper and will probably spot that, depending on the camera angle. We will have to do some camera rotation and manual targeting to safely clear that demo charge, though. Just spotted it. But yeah, with the default camera angle, it's actually not that easy to see. And there's mechanized assault chosen by Jesulin, so I guessed correctly. I'm so smart. Half track on its way towards the right side to push away a heavily wounded squad of conscripts. This looks like a wipe right here. Easy wipe. Paul either didn't notice or didn't think that there was any way for him to save that squad, so he just let them die. MG42 setting up right here. Grenadiers also taking back control of the cutoff, and the Panzer Grenadiers are going straight south towards the fuel cutoff. Look at this huge, wide cutoff maneuver Jesulin is executing with that half track. Tier 3 going up for Paul. The fact that he shocked rifle seems to think he had enough of a fuel advantage. Maybe he did a minute ago. I'm not so sure if he does now. Then again, you pretty much always go tier 3 against mechanized assault, so fuel advantage is irrelevant. You have to get the T-34-76 out to counter the Stug E. MG42 is set up for this push. Paul will get suppressed. Those 2 squads, Grenadiers, pull out of the building temporarily. Panzer Grenadiers and the half track are on their way, trying to do damage to these units. Conscripts are going down pretty quick. half health, they'll leave the structure and retreat. Paul does have healing, which might help explain why his army is so small. 2 upgrades purchased, 2 tech structures purchased, and 1 squad wipe. Up against now a 4 Grenadier, MG42, and Panzer Grenadier army. It's going to be pretty tough to deal with. I'm also surprised by Paul's decision to go T-70. He knows the Stugi is coming. He probably knows it's not very far away. He himself has 5 CPs, which means that this T-70's window of opportunity to inflict serious damage will be short. But if he can hunt down and destroy this half-track and maybe pick up 1 or even 2 squad wipes, T-70 will definitely be worth it. Paul just canceled, however, to get a half-track instead. He has enough munitions for the quad mount upgrade, so it'll be a more fuel-efficient harassment unit. And then you can get the T-34 out a little quicker that way. So I assume that's his line of thinking here. I don't see people use the half-track that frequently, but in high-level play, it does make more of an appearance. Apparently Paul's going to jump on that bandwagon. MG42 down here, setting up fire on this flamethrower squad. They're going to leave cut off and maybe secure the building. They will make it there in time, and the Maxim suppresses those grenadiers, preventing them from re-securing it. But they are forced to retreat, and the MG has to pull back to safety away from the flamethrower. Here comes the half-track, upgrading with the quad mount upgrade. Now it will go pretty much uncountered, as Jesulin has not even built Tier 2. Jesulin will be forced to make a full retreat from the middle when a half-track makes its appearance. Isn't really anything that he can do about this. The half-track with the Panzer Grenadiers inside, apparently also making a retreat from the north. Actually, it doesn't apparently have anything inside. I'm not even sure what it was doing up here. Shock troops, however, making their way to work the flanks. Force retreat from those Grenadiers, and the half-track is on its way to try and lead their retreat. Picks up 1. Flamethrower also in the retreat path. 2 maybe flamethrowers in the retreat path. That one can maybe get a burst off. Gets 1 burst. Oh! What? Oh my god! I wasn't sure if that squad was gonna get away, but I wasn't expecting them to melt instantly from that flame burst either. I think only 1 crit was involved there, judging by their level of HP. It looked like it was like instant death, but kind of hard to tell. Grenadiers will be forced to make a retreat right there. With no Tier 2 and no Stugi quite yet, Jesulin will go with Panzer Shreks to try and push that half-track off the field, but clearly Paul is benefiting from having a mobile source of anti-infantry. Driving around the battlefield, forcing retreats, picking up wipes. With 1 squad of conscripts wiped and 1 squad of grenadiers wiped, this game is probably pretty even, and the next momentum swing is on its way. Jesulin now will have dominance of the battlefield until Paul's T-34-76 arrives, if that's the route Paul chooses to go, which it may not be because he just went AT gun instead. Interesting. He would rather just try and get a all-in tank, I guess. He's still pretty far away from the IS-2 though. He needs to get 4¼ more CPs, which is a long time to let a Stugi just have the field. T-34-76 will be able to hunt and destroy that a lot more easily. An AT gun is just going to have to manage the threat it poses, but of course, and Jesulin's going to go hard into Stugs. It's fielded 2, which will probably easily be able to punish a 1 AT gun build. I think Paul, upon seeing the second one, may feel that a T-34 is justified. We'll see what he chooses to do though. AT gun is well set up for this. Stugs advance. Good moves to take out the Maxim. Stug switches targets to maybe try and bleed the half-track a little bit, but it gets away. And shock troops make their way up. Toss a grenade on the machine gun right there. Jesulin will retreat rather than reposition. That's 1 machine gun dealt with, but the shock troops also have to pull off the battlefield. Looks like they'll get away with only 1 loss. Combat engineers are going to repair the half-track in the base. Meanwhile, one spare squad of conscripts harassing the flanks. This squad of conscripts also harassing the flanks will spot the second Stug. So Paul is going to go with a T-34. This is probably the time. Doesn't look like it though. He's actually going to try and hold out on this force, even though his AT gun just got cleared, leaving him with no counter to these at all. Until he can get that recovered. He does have a half-track in the battlefield, but he's struggling to keep it safe. Stugs both have a line. It's taking heavy damage. Run! Half-track gets out of range. AT gun starts firing at the Stugs, but it's probably just going to get cleared. Trying to reinforce it mid-battle, but he's bleeding manpower hard. AT grenade connects, however. If the field gun would just take a shot, why won't it fire? Seriously, why won't it fire as a bug? That was weird. Switches to a high explosive barrage on the machine gun instead. Hopefully that thing will start being useful soon. Panzer Grenadiers try to get in range for damage on the half-track, but the flamethrowers force them to retreat. Jesulin will follow that up with a light artillery barrage on this defensive position, forcing Paul to reposition to safety. One stray shell does detonate a flamethrower, but he gets clear of the blast zone with only very minor losses. And he is able to maintain this defensive line, utilizing a half-track as a forward reinforced point. The AT gun is still alive, and the Stugs have both been forced back off the field, away from the AT gun and for repairs. Jesulin, of course, manages to keep this one alive. I thought for sure it was going to go down to the field gun, but it didn't shoot when it looked like it definitely should have. I guess this tree is a shot blocker. I think there may have been some kind of line of sight issue right there. It looked like a clean shot to me, but apparently not.
The sector is at risk.
Well, Paul will follow up that engagement by getting himself a lot of map control left. He's had great fuel harassment. Jesulin only finding a moment now to get control of the left side fuel. Note also that Jesulin swept the demo charge right here. Or maybe he didn't sweep it, it looks like it exploded, but I don't think it killed anything. I guess I'm not actually sure if it did, because there's only 2 Grenadier squads left. Did the half-track just go down? Half-track just went down! How did I miss that? Paul! Just let apparently Panzer Grenadiers walk up and... oh, the AT gun got a shot off, and the half-track is destroyed here. Panzer Grenadiers and AT gun fire burst it down very quickly. So half-track goes down for Paul. 2 squads of Grenadiers wiped. Jesulin's going to replace one of those losses right now. Stugs are going to continue to just dominate the battlefield, primarily because Paul did not go T-34-76, but he's about to reap the benefits of stalling. He just needs another quarter point, and the IS-2 will definitely hit the field, and once it does, it's going to be some time before a Tiger arrives. Plus, Paul's map control, despite getting bullied around by these Stugs, is still quite excellent. So Jesulin's counter to the IS-2 is going to be very late to hit the field, because Paul has done an excellent job of just maintaining fuel, despite his disadvantage. Ooh, nice pickup over here on the right side, rifle grenade. Paul wasn't paying attention, loses his flamethrower.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
Maxim will be forced to retreat there from the middle, and conscripts are trying to put pressure on those Panzer Grenadiers to retreat. The Stugs are working on another harassment attempt north. There's the IS-2. Conscripts will get away as the Stugs desperately try to escape. Obviously, the Tiger's nowhere near hitting the field. Here comes Panzerfaust for maybe the hope of engine damage. It will bounce. Paul intentionally faces the frontal armor towards the Grenadiers instead of the AT gun until that Panzerfaust fires to make sure he doesn't sustain engine damage right there. Does get crew shocked by the vetted Stug, which is also extremely close to being destroyed right there.
Light artillery awaits your orders.
IS-2 takes sufficient damage from AT guns. It is forced to retreat. That's 2 AT guns fielded here by Jesulin. That will be enough to manage the threat of the IS-2 for now. He is the one who's going to be stalling for a Tiger.
We are losing a sector. Infantry contact.
Smoke grenade tossed by the shocks right there, trying to prevent that Stug from bleeding them too hard. Jesulin takes a couple shots through the smoke, but
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
struggling to seal the deal. Paul is gambling going for this cutoff attempt, by the way. Obviously, he wants to stall Jesulin's Tiger. Ooh, he's also baiting a little bit. Oh, come on, Paul, seal the deal on that tech round. There it is, through the hedge. Okay, that AT gun has redeemed itself. It has redeemed itself. And the Stug is destroyed. Conscripts make their way up to the fuel point here on the left side, start working on that. Jesulin now has neither Stug E, and he will be forced to deal with an IS-2. Without the benefit of his Stugs, of course, he has wiped shock troops. Shock troops went down on retreat there, so that's a nice pickup for Jesulin. Paul may consider replacing that loss to help deal with a very large infantry corps. Grenadiers apparently have a flamethrower. There's also 2 AT guns on the field that shock troops could help clear. But even that aside, Jesulin is very far away from getting his Tiger onto the field. Grenadiers with the flamethrower and the half-track will still make a good mobile counter-harassment unit, though. Jesulin is not completely without mobility. Even with his Stugs dead, he still has this. Manages to force at least one retreat with it there. More conscripts on their way to start harassing the VP. Speaking of VPs, they are dead even.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
And the clock is stopped, so this game doesn't appear to be over by any means.
Artillery barrage at your command.
Jesulin in the lead for infantry, Paul in the lead for tanks. And there's the KV-8, which is going to, of course, be Paul's immediate solution to double AT gun, Panzer Grenadiers. Maybe we can pick up some wipes on Grenadiers on retreat without a Tiger on the field, at least for the next 1 minute. This is his KV-8's chance to swing the game in Paul's favor. IS-2 also, of course, has a veterancy lead on the Tiger. It's going to be Vet 2 before the Tiger is. Vet 1 doesn't really make that much of a difference. But if that IS-2 makes it to Vet 2, it'll be a very powerful weapon. While trying to keep his frontal armor faced towards those Grenadiers, it will bounce. IS-2 pulling back to safety. Look at that block by Jesulin. The KV-8 is unable to circle straight the AT guns because the half-track is in the way. But it's not out of range. The flamethrower can actually reach that far. Very close to going down right there. AT guns will turn to fire on the KV-8 instead. This one gets cleared. There is a squad of Grenadiers available to recover, but it's heavy manpower bleed. Meanwhile, Jesulin's army is all moving out to the right side. Look for maybe an opportunity on the IS-2. This flank could be very problematic. Incendiary artillery just got dropped on the AT guns, which we'll try and pull back to safety. We may be looking at engine damage here, though. Grenadiers successfully make it onto the flank, but they need to fire now. No, IS-2 on the road. Looks like it's going to get to safety. Grenadiers don't even make the attempt. The AT gun, one of them got away, the other one cleared right there. The IS-2 taking heavy damage from Panzerfaust and Schreck fire, has taken engine damage and looks like it may not be able to escape. It's taking heavy damage, it's so close. KV-8 moves to try and save the day. It can squeeze through that? I had no idea that an IS-2 could fit through that gap. Panzerschreck volley targets the combat engineers, and that IS-2 makes a miracle escape with the KV-8 burning everything to death. The Panzerschreck squad is wiped. This AT gun still has not been recovered, and the window of opportunity in which the KV-8 had an opportunity to seal this game looks like it was successful in doing so. Tiger, however, will be on the field. No, it won't. No, it won't. Paul's decision to go KV-8 absolutely paid off. That final decisive engagement, during which, I might add, he took the entire map, absolutely finished out a game that was completely dead even. Well played, both players. Let's see if Jesulin can recover from 335 victory point victory in Game 2 of the series.